On the surface, SpongeBob SquarePants' Titans of the Tide might seem like it's following the Battle for Bikini Bottom formula that the series has rarely strayed from. While that's not far from the truth, there's more to this porous sea critter than meets the eye this time around. Titans of the Tide has a lot of the same things that have made previous SpongeBob games so solid, from the gorgeous art style to the way it perfectly capturing the show's slapstick vibe, but it also manages to set itself apart in the most important area: how it plays. Instead of being a run-of-the-mill and simplistic collect-a-thon, Titans has some unexpectedly inventive platforming thanks to its new swapping mechanic. The creative ways that Titans of the Tide has you switching between SpongeBob and Patrick and the satisfying sequences it leads to are enough to finally give SpongeBoy Me-Boy a bit of the depth he's been missing. There are some stumbles along the way that stop it from reaching the heights of other platformers, but this is easily the best SpongeBob adventure since Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Less abrasive than Cosmic Shake, but also less interesting.
As the grandiose name suggests, Titans of the Tide sees SpongeBob and Patrick teaming up to save Bikini Bottom from being destroyed by a childish feud between its two most powerful figures, the Flying Dutchman and King Neptune. It's a fairly standard setup for nautical nonsense that follows the show's formulae to a T, complete with fluid, charming animations and a stellar style that captures the vibes perfectly while also looking better than most other platformers that tend to get far more spotlight than SpongeBob. One of the biggest issues I had with Cosmic Shake was how loud, grating, and repetitive its dialogue and jokes were, even by modern SpongeBob standards. Titans of the Tide still has some repeated quips here and there, but it's drastically toned down and less of a headache to play throughout its relatively short 6-hour runtime. That's a bit of a double-edged sword, though, as Titans sadly isn't all that funny and drew more knowing nods than actual chuckles from me. While it's possible that I've just aged out of SpongeBob's humor, I was left a little disappointed that Titans of the Tide's story was mostly forgettable, especially compared to the alternate universe antics of Shake. Purple Lamp has nailed the look and vibe of SpongeBob even more than before, but I'm still waiting for a game that matches the wit of the show without relying on callbacks and colorful visuals.
No, this is Patrick. If you've ever played a SpongeBob game before, then you'll mostly know what to expect from Titans. Once again, it's a level-based platformer with simple but satisfying combat that's stuffed with collectibles to find and side objectives to complete. So far, so SpongeBob. But the big thing that sets Titans apart is the ability to instantly swap between playing as SpongeBob and Patrick, who both have unique movesets. SpongeBob has a karate kick that lets him propel to certain platforms, as well as a bubble that activates switches and bounce pads, while Patrick can burrow into the ground to reach new areas and, just like in Battle for Bikini Bottom, he can pick up objects and enemies and throw them around with ease. Patrick being playable and having different mechanics to SpongeBob isn't new, but most games before this have treated him like a side character instead of the equal hero that he is in Titans. Not only does Patrick feel fully fleshed out for the first time in a SpongeBob game, but he's also arguably more fun to play. SpongeBob's bubble doesn't unlock until later in the game, giving Patrick the chance to shine like the star he is and helps Titans stand out from every other SpongeBob platformer. Titans has the best platforming of any SpongeBob game. In the early hours of Titans of the Tide, I thought it was an enjoyable, if a little simple, platformer that was about what I expected from another SpongeBob game, even with Patrick in the mix. That quickly changed when Purple Lamp locked in and created some surprisingly excellent and inventive platforming sequences focused on the swap mechanic. While the early hours are pretty basic and slow, eventually you're presented with some truly interesting gauntlets that push you to constantly switch between SpongeBob and Patrick mid-sequence, as one flips a switch and the other pulls a platform forward, and then it's back to the other to bring it around town with another move altogether. It's much faster paced and more involved than any other game in the series before it, and pushes the tried-and-true recipe further than I expected. Combine that with the general movement abilities feeling consistently fluid and the puzzles being more than just throwing stuff around, and Titans emerges as the best playing SpongeBob game by a Texas mile.
I just wish that there was a little bit more to it, as the mechanics just feel like they're getting started before things wrap up. If SpongeBob and Patrick had a few more mechanics across more levels and the pace was kept, Titans would easily be one of my biggest surprises of the year. Even if Titans of the Tide is a little too short to make that kind of impact, it's still easily the best SpongeBob game since Battle for Bikini Bottom, and possibly even better if you take off the jellyfishing nostalgia goggles. I can only hope that Purple Lamp keeps it up, because it finally feels like it's nearly cracked the secret formula.